Yeah, absolutely. The LAN will look different. I think. Well, first of all, the LAN is continually evolving, right? So the LAN used to be a very tightly defined network, and today it is. LAN sprawl has become a big problem to deal with. Right? So you've got both wired and wireless. You've got in many cases you have both, right? Being an overlay for one another. It extends to people's homes, right? It extends to your partner's network in a lot of cases, and the security of it has to be the security and I guess context awareness of that has to be driven across the entire LAN. Right, today, it's very common to want to integrate your supply chain and demand chain in, and that's created a network of users around the corporate network that's just, it's orders of magnitude larger than it was before. I think from a device perspective, consumerization has been a very, very big trend that we've seen hit the enterprise over the last few years. And, much of that's been driven by wireless, obviously, right? So you look at the number of different Wi-Fi enabled devices, mobile phones to personal laptops, people even monkey around with cameras and things like that. From a consumer perspective, the technology that people have at home, they feel is better than they have in the enterprise, so they bring it to work with them. Our last blended lifestyle survey, which is a survey of excellent users, shows that on average, workers use about 4 pieces of consumer technology in their average workday, right? So this is something that IT has to deal with, and they've been dealing with it primarily by creating a network that's more open than it was before, and I think it's gotten to the point where it's become unmanageable for them. Yeah, I think competitive advantage now is defined by a company's ability to be able to harness the knowledge of the right people as fast as possible, right? And so I think what you're trying to do, companies are trying to do, is create these ad hoc collaborative communities to solve a certain problem, to work on a certain project. Then when that's done, break them up and go off and do the next thing, right? And so that means at any given moment in time, right, you as a user may be part of these 4 communities based on your skill set, and tomorrow you might be part of a different 4, right? So trying to understand from a network security perspective what VLAN I'm going to assign you to, and what servers I'm going to let you have access to, and information, who I'm going to let you talk to, right? Who should be part of your network is almost impossible. Actually, with traditional networking models, right? Because very manual. The management tools aren't very good, and network operations could, in fact, probably spend all of their time responding to those changes. But if a company is going to be competitive and be at the forefront of whatever market it is, they have to be able to do this. And collaboration is probably one of the top 3 themes of almost every CIO I talk to. I think they've been unsuccessfully trying to really lock down control over these things that aren't owned. They're not corporate owned assets, so the ability to lock them down is very hard. I think the traditional command and control method that enterprises had, we're going to understand every bit of every piece of this technology, and we're going to control it and authorize it, just doesn't work anymore, right? I think it's slow, right? So you're going to hold the users back, and I think there's really a new type of model needed for network managers. Well, I think the network has to do a better job of understanding who users are and what they need access to, and when those changes happen, being able to automatically make those changes without having any kind of integration. So I guess the automation of a lot of the tasks that network operators had to do just isn't there today. And that's that primarily needs improving, and much of that needs to be done at the edge. And the edge, unfortunately, is where a lot of people have put very kind of low-cost, dumb devices. And when you think about it, they connected primarily PCs, right, printers and stuff. So I've always said the closer you got to the data center, the more due diligence you've do with your network, because that's where your big expensive assets live, right? So you spend expensive stuff, or you connect expensive stuff with expensive stuff and connect cheap stuff. But if we're saying the intelligence lives in the users, right, and the value lives in the workers' ability to collaborate, now you've taken a a lot of the value that was in the data center you've pushed out to the edge. So that level of due diligence that you do in the data center, right, and that's why you see so many alternatives in the data center, needs to also be done at the aggregation edge and the edge, because the value is equal across the network.